Ukrainian pilot killed in first F-16 loss. A devastating setback for Ukraine's Air Force. In a heartbreaking loss for Ukraine's military, reports have emerged that one of the country's most skilled pilots has perished in the first recorded crash of an F-16 fighter jet during a combat mission. This tragedy not only represents a significant blow to Ukraine's air defense, but also highlights the high stakes and intense risks faced by those defending their homeland in the ongoing conflict. Ukraine has confirmed the loss of its first F-16 fighter and one of its pilots in a crash during a combat mission earlier this week. The incident is indeed a significant blow for the Ukrainian Air Force, which has so far only received a small number of the jets, and more importantly, has only a handful of combat-qualified F-16 pilots. In a post on Facebook, Air Command West of the Ukrainian Air Force confirmed that Alexei Mess died on Monday, August 26, but not before he shot down 3 Russian cruise missiles and a single one-way attack drone. This was part of an attempt to repel a major Russian missile and drone attack directed against Ukraine, the largest of the war so far. Alexei Mess, a pilot of the Ukrainian Air Force, heroically fought his last battle in the skies. On August 26, during a massive Russian missile and airstrike, Alexei shot down 3 cruise missiles and 1 strike UAV. He saved countless Ukrainians from deadly Russian attacks. The aircraft type Mess was flying was not initially named, but was subsequently confirmed by the Ukrainian General Staff as an F-16, adding that the same type shot down 4 Russian cruise missiles during the same raid. An unnamed U.S. official also confirmed the fatal crash of a Ukrainian F-16 in an incident on Monday, as reported by the Wall Street Journal today. Details of exactly what happened are unclear, although, according to the WSJ, initial reports indicate the jet wasn't shot down by enemy fire. That information was provided by the same U.S. official who suggested that the crash was likely a result of pilot error. There is currently no confirmation that this is the case, however, and the Ukrainian armed forces have apparently refuted this, according to a report from CNN, which also notes that the pilot was buried today. As for the pilot who was killed, Alexei Mess, callsign Moonfish, was already known as one of the Ukrainian Air Force aviators who was most active in campaigning for the country to receive F-16s. He promoted the cause in Washington alongside Juice, a Ukrainian MiG-29 pilot killed in an accident almost exactly a year ago. Ukrainian Lieutenant Colonel Alexei Moonfish Mess was the first F-16 jet pilot killed in Ukraine. Mess, 31, was among a select group of only 6 Ukrainian pilots who had completed the intensive training program to operate the F-16 jets. "It is really a super fun jet to fly," Moonfish had said about the F-16 in a video interview during training on the jet in Denmark earlier this summer. "I'm not saying the MiG I flew before is super boring, but the F-16 is definitely more agile. 13 Farad 16s have arrived in Ukraine. Look back at Danish instructors training Ukrainian pilots, technicians, and ground crew on how to fly and maintain the fighter jets." Reports of the death of Mess had emerged earlier this week, including in a statement from Ihor Polishchuk, the mayor of the city of Lutsk in northwest Ukraine. Initially, there were reports that Mess had been killed on the ground in one of the Russian missile strikes, while other claims suggested he may have been killed while flying a MiG-29. Regardless, Polishchuk appears to have retracted his original claim, which led to some uncertainty about exactly what happened. The first F-16s were only confirmed as having arrived in Ukraine in late July, this date apparently having been set as the deadline for the first deliveries. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky earlier this week confirmed that F-16s flew combat missions to try and shoot down cruise missiles and drones launched by Russia in the heavy wave of attacks on Monday. While Ukraine was almost inevitably going to lose an F-16 at some point, the timing could hardly be worse. According to the WSJ, only 6 examples of the fighter had arrived in Ukraine as of Monday. The source of this figure is a second unnamed U.S. official. However, with around 85 F-16s having been made available, it's the loss of an F-16 pilot that will be even more troubling for Ukraine. According to a late July report, only 6 Ukrainian pilots had qualified to fly the F-16 in combat by that point, limiting the number of sorties that could be flown each day. The loss of one of the first Ukrainian pilots to be trained on the F-16, and therefore an experienced combat aviator, will make this an even heavier blow. The loss of Lieutenant Colonel Alexei Moonfish Mess is not just a blow to Ukraine's defense, but a stark reminder of the immense sacrifices being made in the fight for freedom. As Ukraine continues to face overwhelming odds, every loss like this hits home, urging us all to remember the real cost of this war. How will Ukraine's Air Force recover from this devastating setback? Stay tuned as we continue to follow this unfolding story.